The more I look into the details of Donald Trump's recently supposedly excellent medical exam, the more I'm convinced that at least some elements of the report just are not telling the truth. And there's a lot of different questions about that study. One of them is the idea that anybody could be in, quote, excellent health given a regime of no exercise, bad diet, and advancing cholesterol. That is already kind of weird to me, but I want to go through some of these elements piece by piece, starting with the report's claim that Donald Trump is 6'3" and 239 pounds. I told you yesterday that that seemed unlikely to me, and I did more research into this. And for example, Barack Obama is known to be just over 6 feet tall. 6'1", supposedly, is the height of Barack Obama. I'm going to put up on the screen for our television and video audience a picture of Donald Trump and President Obama standing next to each other on Inauguration Day. And as you see from the red line that we've added to this image, at most, President Trump is as tall as President Obama, and arguably, he's about an inch shorter than President Obama. At the absolute maximum, we're talking about someone who is 6'1" to maybe 6'1 and a half. Additionally, we have pictures of Donald Trump next to former baseball player Alex Rodriguez. Alex Rodriguez is known to be 6'3". Sometimes athletes' height is exaggerated,
It's true.
but he seems several inches taller than Donald Trump. And we have a picture of Donald Trump next to Jeb Bush. And again, Jeb Bush also known to be 6'3", and he looks several
3 or
inches,
4 inches
3 or
taller than
4
Trump?
inches taller than Donald Trump, and Trump not noticeably slouching here. So to begin with, Trump is definitely not 6'3". Trump himself claimed to be 6'2" the last time he renewed his driver's license. And to be perfectly honest, people often exaggerate on their driver's licenses. My driver's license says that I'm 5'9", and I can assure you I am not 5'9", because at least in Massachusetts, they just ask you how tall are you. They don't actually take your height. So why would it matter if Donald Trump is 6'1" or 6'2" or 6'3"? The reason it matters is that at 6'3" and 239 pounds, Trump's reported weight in this test, Trump would be just shy of obese. If you make him just slightly heavier or just slightly shorter, he becomes obese. So at 6'3", 239, Trump's BMI is 29.9. Now, to be clear, BMI is not a perfect measure. We've talked before, if you're a bodybuilder and you have huge muscle mass, you would show up as obese on BMI. But listen, Trump is no bodybuilder, right? We know that it's a pretty good estimate. So at 6'3", 239, Trump's BMI is 29.9, which puts him as overweight. If Trump remains at 239 pounds, but his height is only 6'2", much more realistic, Trump is obese. And we know Trump doesn't want to be reported as being obese in the media. And if you maintain that Donald Trump is 6'3", which we don't believe, but you increase his weight just 2 pounds to 241, Trump also scores as obese according to BMI. Realistically, Donald Trump is not 6'3", and he's definitely heavier than 239. Some estimates put him at roughly anywhere from 255 even up to 270. So Trump is obese, and that is something that should be reported, right? Shouldn't the American public have a right to know that the president, by accepted measures, is an obese person? But of course, that wouldn't work for Trump because he's the best, and he's the smartest, and he's in tremendous health, and everything is just absolutely fantastic. Now, as far as Trump being in, quote, excellent health, we've learned from the studies that were done that Trump has coronary atherosclerosis and a moderate risk of having a heart attack. His coronary calcium score went from 34 in 2009 to 98 in 2013 to 133 at this most recent test, and he is on more and more medication to control that. It is not crazy for someone his age who is both obese and doesn't exercise and eats a ton of fast food. His cholesterol is also high, but once you see data that doesn't make any sense, isn't it reasonable to question everything that we're supposedly being told by this test? And also, very strangely, the test says that Trump doesn't wear dentures. Now, that seems like a minor thing, right? Why do we care that Trump doesn't wear dentures? Because of Trump's strange word slur not long ago, speculation ran rampant. Is that part of Trump's possible dementia? Was Trump on some kind of medication? What was going on? And one relatively benign explanation was, oh, Trump wears dentures and they slipped. Let me remind you of the incident where Trump devolved into sort of unintelligible slurring during a speech.
Not violence. And it is time for young and moderate voices all across the Middle East to claim for themselves a bright and beautiful future. So today, let us rededicate ourselves to a path of mutual understanding and respect. Let us rethink old assumptions and open our hearts and minds to possible and possibilities. And finally, I ask the leaders of the region, political and religious, Israeli and Palestinian, Jewish and Christian and Muslim, to join us in the noble quest for lasting peace. Thank you. God bless you. God bless Israel. God bless the Palestinians, and God bless the United States. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So the most benign explanation was he has dentures, but we're told he has no dentures. And that was probably dry mouth caused by Sudafed. And I know many people with dry mouth, and that's not how they talk. So again, raising even more questions.
Yeah, dentures was probably the most reasonable and the most generous explanation for what happened there. The other explanations we came up with were much worse.
Much worse. Yeah. And we are told, and I said at the time, rich people usually have dental implants. They don't have dentures. And indeed, we're told Trump has no dentures. And then lastly, we've got the cognitive assessment. The Montreal cognitive assessment that Trump was given, we actually found what it looks like, and we're going to put it up on the screen for people to check out. I mean, it's literally, there's drawings of a lion, a rhinoceros, and a giraffe. Just kidding. I know that it's a camel. I know that it's a camel. And one of the things you have to do is just like 10% is just identifying those animals. The idea that this was going to reliably diagnose whether Trump might be starting to suffer from early symptoms of dementia is completely laughable. And as I mentioned at the bottom, you'll notice that you get 6 points just for telling the interviewer what the day, month, and year and location of the interview is that is taking place. So this is more useful for neurological disorders. This is more useful for more advanced stages of dementia-like conditions. But I don't know how much we are really going to learn from this overall. So, and to put a fine point on that, Ronald Reagan would likely have passed this test during his presidency, even though we now know in retrospect that he already had some of the early symptoms of Alzheimer's while he was president of the United States. That's my sort of final assessment on the medical exam. I don't know if we'll ever hear about it again because the Trumpists, by and large, have been completely placated by it. The video you just watched was made possible by support from you. Please go to patreon.com/David Pakman Show. You can make a pledge of as little as $1 per month. And every dollar helps to support the work that we're doing, particularly in light of the YouTube ad boycott, which has been really bad.